Red Feather presents From the Archives. Chapter 33, Gone Fishing, the Oxbow.
And then the other one is... Aha! I did start to suspect. Guess that explains why Etho filed these two as one statement. Statement of hypnotized regarding certain behaviors of his roommate. Statement originally also transcribed February 1st, 2009. I have to say, it sounds like these two were perfect housemates for each other. Statement begins. Do you know what an Oxbow lake is? It's like, you know how a river will sort of twist back and forth as it goes? And sometimes something happens, a flood or a drought or just the landscape changing, and the river straightens out a bit, cuts across the land a little differently and leaves the place where it used to curve behind. But the old riverbed is still there, and it's still full of water. It just doesn't lead anywhere anymore. I learned about them when I was a kid. Trip to a state park with my grandparents, I think. Never really thought it would come in handy 20 years down the line, but I remember it stuck with me, looking at maps of the area from overhead with the Oxbows all outlined in red, the curves of where the river used to be thousands of years ago. This isn't really a story about that, but it also kind of is. It's about my roommate. I met XB through a mutual friend. I thought they were dating at the time, actually, though now that I've got to know them both, I think maybe they're just like that. At first he didn't really stick out to me. Not in a bad way or anything, he just sort of kept to himself. Quiet, you know? But friendly. Laid back, I guess. I wouldn't have ever said I knew him well, but we got along pretty decently, and eventually it happened to come up that his landlord was kicking him out, right when I was trying to move and find a new roommate, and it just worked out. He was really committed to staying right in the same area of the city I was wanting to move to. Didn't think much of it at the time. Things started out pretty normal. I was running my own little business. He said he worked nights at an aquarium. Looking back now, I have no idea if that's true or not. I've got my doubts. But anyways, I didn't see him much, which served me just fine. I didn't want him snooping around in my business. We'll say I'm an entrepreneur. Or at least, I was. I found a book a few years back and, well, I bought and sold things. The important part is that I occasionally had clients who might not have been happy with me for any number of reasons, and it was just convenient for me that he wasn't around much. That's all. He didn't seem to eat at home much. I guess I figured he was just a restaurants guy, which I get, right? He was working pretty long shifts, or at least I thought he was, and you get off one of those and you don't really want to come home and cook. So I didn't think much of it. The first thing that struck me as off was the first time he went shopping. Or, I guess he went shopping. All I know is he came home with some bags. I wasn't expecting him to be there at all, but I woke up late one morning and he was loading stuff into the freezer. I asked if he needed a hand, still rubbing the sleep out of my eyes, and he said sure. So I wandered over to have a look inside the bags. It was all meat. Dead fish, specifically. All neatly cleaned and gutted and everything, and packed nice in paper. And listen, we live in a coastal city. Fish is pretty cheap and easy to come by, at least during most of the year. It wasn't weird, not really. Or it shouldn't have been. But there was nothing else in the bags. No bread or fruits or anything. I tried to ask him about it, but he just grinned at me, like we were sharing a joke that I wasn't in on, and didn't say anything. And at the time, I figured it was just the bad kitchen lighting, but for a moment it looked like his teeth just went back. I was sort of uneasy around him after that, which maybe that was unfair. He was always friendly to me. I never felt unsafe or anything, not really. Just on edge. The way you might feel if you were on a movie set with a trained animal you didn't actually trust not to lunge, no matter how calm it acted. Everything stayed normal, though. Everything stayed under control. And then one day he came home while I was talking to a customer. Like I said, people occasionally had reason to be upset with me. This particular guy was trying to bargain me back out of a deal we'd already finalized. It's not that important. Just meant I wasn't paying attention when the door to the apartment opened behind me. It was XB's day off, so I figured he'd be out all day. He usually was. I didn't realize he'd come in until my client gave up and stormed out. I turned around to watch him go, and there he was, standing just inside the door, staring at me. And there was something about his eyes. They were blue, which, it sounds weird. He didn't look any different. Not really. He looked exactly the same he always had. His eyes have always been blue. It was just like there was more behind them. Like there was an ocean behind his irises. Not in a pretty way or anything, though. In a terrifying way. Like there was a wave there, stretching up from floor to ceiling, ready to just sweep across the room and swallow me whole before I could even run. I thought I could hear something, too, ringing in my ears like rushing water. And then he blinked, or I blinked, and it was over. Whatever had been in his eyes was gone again, or at least not visible. He asked me what had been up with the guy, and I gave him a quick explanation. Mostly, I just wanted to get out of there. I felt like I couldn't even be in the same room as him right then. I wanted to get something between me and him. The feeling only went away once I was in my room. It was the first time ever I actually used the lock on that door. Those next 2 weeks were... they should have been normal. They weren't. I can't exactly pin down why. I just felt like I was being... not like I was being watched. More like I had the undivided attention of something very, very large. XB wasn't acting any different, not really. It felt like he was around more often, but I couldn't tell if that was real or just my brain playing tricks on me. And even if he was, it's not like that would explain anything. He was just my roommate. He had every right to be there, but I just couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. It was almost a relief when one morning he walked in while I was eating breakfast and told me we needed to go for a walk and talk things over. It was a rainy morning, all grey and wet outside. I didn't want to go out, but I felt like if I spent another hour with that weight curled around inside the walls, following me wherever I went, I was going to lose it. And maybe I wanted to get some things off my chest too. So I said sure, I'd go with him. He said he had some questions for me. I said I had some questions for him too. He led the way. He had a specific way he wanted to go, down the boulevard toward the ocean. The whole time we were walking, I felt like I could hear the waves in my ears, getting louder and louder, drowning out everything else besides our conversation. There wasn't anybody else out, just the two of us, and the rain. It was like the world sort of faded. I could hear myself talking, and I could see the raindrops hitting the ground, and I could hear the waves in the distance getting closer. But past that, it was like the city wasn't really there anymore. Where there should have been the skyline, there was just sky, grey and cloudy, and undeveloped grassy dunes and crags of rock as far as I could see. I couldn't tell if the buildings were destroyed, or if I was seeing a time before they'd ever been there at all. I don't know if there was a difference. There was a river I'd never seen before running along next to our feet, heavy with rainwater. XB also looked different as we got closer to the shore. He didn't fade out, not like the city did. If anything, it was like he got more solid, but he also got like I couldn't really see his face anymore, except for his teeth and his eyes. I wasn't sure if it was the clouds getting thicker and blocking out the sun or something else, but I wanted to run, but I couldn't. I really couldn't. We were talking the whole time. I could only sort of keep track of what I was saying. Almost all my focus was on just keeping my feet under me, as the wind and rain got wilder and wilder, and the city dissolved around me. I know I was saying stuff I'd wanted to keep secret. Stuff I hadn't planned on telling anybody else ever. I couldn't help it, though. It felt like I was pleading with something not to eat me. We reached the shore eventually. The waves were so loud in my ears I couldn't hear anything else, but his voice cut right through the noise. He told me, well, basically he told me I needed to be better to my customers. That he wasn't happy with some of the stuff I'd been up to, and that he intended on sticking around for as long as it took to make sure I stayed on the straight and narrow. And the way he said it, there was no doubt in my mind that he meant it. That he was just going to be there, no matter what I did. He phrased it like a deal, but it wasn't really something I could refuse. I knew that right away. But I didn't... I was in over my head in more ways than one. I knew that. I'd been an idiot. At least he seemed like he knew what he was doing. So I agreed, and shook his hand. It was cold, and it had claws that dug into my skin but didn't quite draw blood. He smiled, and it was like that first time. His mouth was nothing but teeth that just went back and back and back. And then, all at once, the rain stopped. The ocean settled, even though I could still hear the waves. The sky was clearing. When I turned around, the city was back, all the buildings intact. And the river was gone. Weird weather, XB said. And when I turned back to stare at him, he just looked normal again. Hands in his pockets, entirely human. Didn't fool me, though. I'd seen him. What he really looked like. I rolled my eyes and told him I was heading home to change because I was soaked from head to toe. On the way home, he told me about the river that used to run through where the city centre is now. Well, this is interesting. A little irritating that Hypno doesn't elaborate ever on the book he found. I'd bet real money I can guess whose name was stamped inside it. Anyways, what I find most interesting about this pair of statements is that they almost seem to indicate a sort of like attracts like. It almost seems like the closer you are to this everything, the more likely you are to continue to encounter it in different forms. I wonder why that is. I'm reminded again of that camping trip and how Scott, Lizzie and Jimmy have all run up into different manifestations in their own lives following it. More false than the experiences she had with both of her roommates, paired with the statement about her. Or even me and Scar, and the both of us winding up here. Anyways, I do wish I knew where this had taken place. Neither of them mentioned, which is aggravating. Etho actually did apparently take some interest in this case. He's got a map in here with a couple different cities in Wales highlighted as possible settings, but it looks like he wasn't able to narrow it down any further than that, which is a pity. I'm busy!
Ooh, what are you working on?
I'm recording.
Oh, did I interrupt you?
Yes!
Sorry. I was just wanting to let you know... Oh. Hey, I know that guy.
Who?
This guy. Hypno? I mean, if it's the same guy, remembered because of the weird name. I met him a couple years ago. Birds of a feather, him and me. He tried to sell me something. Don't remember what, but it was fun. Not often I run into a guy who can give me a run for my money when it comes to, bargaining.
Is that so? Do you remember what he wanted from you?
No, I don't think so. I remember it was something kind of weird.
Are you sure?
Yep. Sorry, it's gone.
Ugh. Do you know where he's at now? Or, wait, do you at least remember where you met him?
Ooh, might have been somewhere north of here? I don't know. I did a lot of traveling around before I got this job. Places all sort of blur together. You know how that is.
Right. Well, congratulations on managing to be even less useful than the statement itself.
You're welcome.
What did you want to come in here to tell me anyways?
Oh, right. Mumbo called and said he's not coming in today. Guess he's sick or something.
Oh. Well, hope he feels better soon. I'd feel bad bullying him when he's not well.
From the Archives is a fanfic series written by Johnny 16th Days and Zephaniah Grains, inspired by the Magnus Archives and by Hermitcraft and other Minecraft series. This chapter is performed by Tizzy as Grian and Nomiomi as Scar. Editing for this episode was done by Butterscotch Bread and Maxie. Music was composed by Noctude. Thanks for listening.